everyone, and welcome to another episode of Out of the Fog. I'm your host, Laurabel. On today's episode, we will be joined by two amazing guests talking about the great work their organizations are doing. We'll get a chance to take a peek into Epilepsy NL and see what's going on at the YWCA. So sit back, relax, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. I'm now joined by Alicia Legge, who's part of Epilepsy Newfoundland and Labrador. Alicia, thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much for having me.
I want our viewers to get a chance to know who you are and your role with Epilepsy NL and what you guys do as an organization. So do you mind starting there?
No, not at all. So my name is Alicia Legge. I'm the Community Information Officer with Epilepsy Newfoundland and Labrador. And our primary mandate is to provide information and resources to people living with epilepsy in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. We're also a member of the Canadian Epilepsy Alliance, which is a foundation built from all of the nonprofit epilepsy organizations across Canada. Mm-hmm. So our information is not only shared here within the province, but also nationwide. And we provide everything from support resources on, living with epilepsy, a new diagnosis of epilepsy, education sessions in schools. We provide information to people by the phone, by email, a host of different services. We provide information packages for the public if anybody would like to contact us for one. And a lot of our calls that we do receive are from people who are newly diagnosed with the disease, looking for just general information and supports. Other supports that we have are helping people with getting jobs, resources, looking for information on provincial drug card. There's a host of different things that we do. And to give back to the community, we also offer scholarship services and 4 different community awards that we award 2 different times of the year. The scholarships are in November and the community awards are in March.
Okay, so for our viewers watching who might not know exactly what epilepsy is, because if someone says epilepsy, people just think seizures and that's just about it. Do you mind giving a little information about what epilepsy is?
No. So epilepsy is a neurological disease that affects approximately 65 million people worldwide, which comes down to about 1 in 100 people.
Oh, wow.
We have 330,000 people in Canada that live with epilepsy, and over 10,000 are in our own province.
Oh, my goodness.
So epilepsy is diagnosed when a person has 2 or more recurrent seizures. And then they'll be sent for a host of tests, usually an EEG, an MRI, and there could be other testing involved to see if the physicians can pick up any seizure activity during that time. If a person has a single seizure, it doesn't mean that they have epilepsy. Okay. So 1 in 10 people can experience a seizure for a variety of different reasons. So it can be from an infection, it can be from a head injury, for example. It can be from an allergic reaction to things. It could be from heat stroke. So that doesn't mean that they have epilepsy. It has to be those 2 or more recurrent seizures.
Okay.
A seizure is different than epilepsy. So a seizure is when there's a brief interruption in the electrical activity in the brain. And it can last for a few seconds in some people to a couple of minutes in other people. So it's a very complex disease. It affects, like I said, a lot of people, and it's much more than just seizures. So when people often think of epilepsy, they think of one type of seizure, which is the convulsive seizure. And reasons for that is that it's mostly portrayed in social media and mass media. But most seizures actually don't involve convulsions.
Oh.
And people don't realize there's over 40 different seizure types.
Okay.
And a person can have a single seizure type, or they can have more than one seizure type.
Oh, so someone who has been diagnosed with epilepsy could have multiple seizures represent in
types.
themselves.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other one is that a lot of people recognize people who are sensitive to flashing or flickering lights, which is photosensitive epilepsy, which is definitely a type, but it only represents about 5 to 10% of the general population of those living with epilepsy.
Okay.
So when people see those same images being fed to the mass media all the time and they don't know about the other types of seizures, they just think of epilepsy one way. But epilepsy is much more complex and much more complicated than that.
Well, thank you for sharing with that, because like, as you said, when we talk about the way we've been portrayed what epilepsy looks like, we're used to seeing those convulsion seizures and we're told, oh, no flashing lights and that kind of thing. So it's interesting to know there's so many different ways it shows up for people living with epilepsy, so that way we as the general public can be more educated about that. So if someone who's recently received a diagnosis for epilepsy they're coming to terms with it and they're trying to navigate, are you their first point of contact within society? Outside of their doctor?
Usually, yes,
Okay.
we are. So within the community, we're one of the first organizations, or the organization, that they will contact for follow-up resources and support. And even after their neurological visit with their epileptologist or neurologist, they'll often have questions that they, haven't had answered, or they want more in-depth answers for them. So we're happy to provide as much help as we can with those. We're not physicians, but we will fight to find the answers for the people once they reach out to us, for sure. Some questions are quite, again, complex, so it may take a little bit of time to find the resources and the right information to provide to the person. A lot of our time is battling misinformation as well. So just like the portrayals in mass media and in social culture, often the information that's put out with those images is incorrect. So once that's fed again to the people and they think of epilepsy in one type of way, that misinformation keeps getting shared, and we have to battle against all of that stigma and all of that misinformation as well. So a person may come to us with the best intentions, that they heard A, B, C, or D, and then we unfortunately have to turn around and say, no, that information that you were provided by whoever is incorrect, and here's the right information. So that's why we do so much work with schools and with children and adults as well.
That's great to know that you're so in the community and accessing people at different age levels. So I know that you guys have a location here in St. John's that people reach out to, but you guys serve the entire province, correct?
We do.
Okay, so how, what is there only in-person service, or is it do we reach out to people virtually? What is the way people connect with you guys?
Whatever way people feel comfortable.
Okay.
So we can offer in-person visits at the office if a person needs to come in for a one-on-one session. The COVID has kind of changed everybody's way of reaching out to people and connecting. With us, it's actually been a benefit that we are offering more sessions by Zoom.
Okay.
So people can reach us by Zoom, they can reach us through email, phone, whatever they need. But the Zoom platform has allowed us a lot more reach with people who are living in more isolated communities here and rural communities. That, again, once you have a physical office in St. John's, even though we're a provincial organization, they think we only serve St. John's and the Avalon, which is not right. So, we've connected with a lot more clients in Labrador. We've connected with people, on the west coast, on the southern coast of Newfoundland. So it's been a real eye-opener to see that there's so many people living across this province with epilepsy. And one of the main things that they're looking for is social connections with other people that live with that disease. So we try to bridge those gaps as much as we can.
That's so important and so great that you guys are doing that work. Now, I know we're coming up to a very special day for your organization and people who are living with epilepsy. And what is that day?
So Purple Day is our Canadian version of an International Day of Epilepsy Awareness.
Okay.
So Canada is the only country that recognizes March 26th as officially Purple Day.
Okay.
And it was recognized back in 2012. But the grassroots of it started back in 2008 in Nova Scotia with a girl named Cassidy, and then with the support from Epilepsy Maritimes and the Anita Kaufman Foundation, they kind of pushed this into this global movement that it is now. So even though Canada is the only country that officially recognizes it, we have about 85 countries worldwide that participate every year in Purple Day. So we encourage people to wear purple that day, to learn about epilepsy, to challenge themselves in a new way regarding their information around epilepsy. Learn seizure first aid, because it's really simple to learn and it can save somebody's life. And we do all kinds of fun events, community events. So that week leading up is really, really busy for us. So we start with daycares and schools, where we do a bunny hop for epilepsy awareness.
Okay.
So if the kids want to hop for pledges, the money will come back to us as an organization, but they get little bunny ears to wear, and they get all kinds of information and resources on epilepsy, including a storybook that they can read during story time. We have a purple tea party for epilepsy awareness. where people can dress in their finest purple and do an event either in person or virtually to raise awareness. And then they send in their pics and videos to us, and then they get entered for a fabulous prize pack filled with all kinds of goodies from Purity Factories.
Oh.
And then we have a Purple Pets contest that we're running for March, where people can dress their pets in their finest purple and send us pictures and videos, and they'll be entered to win a prize basket from Wags to Whiskers NL. On March the 22nd, we're doing our annual Facebook Live event for Ask the Doctors with Dr. Oganyemi, who is an epileptologist here in the province, and Dr. Matthew McDonald, who is a pediatric neurologist. So people can actually have their questions around epilepsy answered by two experts. And then we have the lightings and proclamations and all kinds of events coming up across the province for that day. And then we have our 31 Days of Epilepsy Awareness calendar.
Okay.
So even though Purple Day is significant, the whole month is Epilepsy Awareness Month. So we really want to make sure that the 31 days we can provide as much information as we can.
Okay, that's a lot of information, and that's really great to hear. So for people who want to get more information, is your website the best place for them to find out?
Yes, so we have our website is epilepsynl.com, and there's a section there called Purple Day, and under that you can see Purple Day 2023, how to get involved. And if they want to, they can contact me directly at info@epilepsynl.com, and I can provide them whatever information that they want.
So I do have a question. Why purple? Was there a reason behind purple?
I think purple was just maybe Cassidy's favorite color, or one of her favorite colors, and it was just picked as the color. And we also have t-shirts for sale as well, so if people don't have their own purple, they can contact us and we can hook them up with some purple.
And if people wanted to get trained in epilepsy first aid, how would they get do they get in contact with you guys?
They
to
would
get that
contact
training?
with us, yep, and it's a part of our education session that we do right from schools through adult age. Just provide some general information around epilepsy, and then we focus specifically on seizure first aid. We talk a little bit about convulsive seizures and non-convulsive seizures and how to respond if you see a person in public, for example, and what to do and make sure the person is safe.
I want to thank you so much for taking your time. I know leading up to Purple Day is very busy for you guys, but taking the time to sit with me and kind of share with our general public the importance of knowing about epilepsy and how they can get in contact and what they can do. If you wanted to leave anyone with any last words, what would it be?
Everybody wear their purple on March 26th. Help us celebrate.
I will make sure to don purple for March 26th.
Excellent.
And then tag you guys on social media?
Absolutely. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and we just recently started on TikTok. So if people have pictures, videos, anything they want to send our way, we're more than happy to share them.
I think we here will make sure we do a push for Purple Day.
That'll be awesome.
Thank you so much for joining me
Thank
today.
you very much for having me.
And we'll be right back, everyone. Welcome back, everyone. I'm now joined by Maria Gentle, who's the Executive Director of the YWCA. Maria, thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm really excited to have you. I know that you are the new Executive Director, so how long have you been in your role and how are you finding it so far?
It's really exciting. So I've been there since the middle of September.
Okay.
And I'm finding a wonderful community, a wonderful team, and a wonderful national movement to be a part of.
Okay, so for the viewers who don't know what the YWCA is, because we've heard of YMCA, but some might not be as familiar with the YWCA, what do you guys do?
Great question. So in fact, the YWCA St. John's has a really rich history in the city.
Okay.
All YWCAs and member associations are local to the municipal level.
Okay.
At some point, we were affiliated with the YM.
Oh.
And about 10 years ago, there was a disaffiliation. And it's really exciting to see how our roots in the city have really risen up through community voice. And so there was a movement of folks who said, let's keep the YWCA St. John's active. And it really represents that national advocacy, community action that we really live by. And since then, you can see how we have moved our programs along, including and centering community voice for women and gender diverse people.
So in terms of your program and services, what exactly are those? So if someone's like, I'm going to the YWCA, what can someone expect that they would receive there in terms of support and programming?
Great question. We're a small but mighty team, and again, because of our links to the national movement, because of our grounding work in community voice, we have a real breadth of services and perspectives. So one really interesting thing is that we do take part in that national advocacy, where we're looking at housing and homelessness, advocacy on childcare, economic security, eradicating gender-based violence, and youth leadership. That's the why, right?
Yeah. See, I didn't know what the why and why. No. I was like, oh, it's just an acronym. But thank you for explaining the why.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you about the other letters in a few minutes, but please do continue.
Sure can. So what's exciting about that and looking at the national affiliation with the member associations is that we really draw our strength from that movement, and we really lend our voice to that movement as well. So for example, while we don't have a housing proposal or housing portfolio in the city, we do lend our voice to advocacy on the national housing strategy. So just in October, for example, I was in Ottawa with our 30 member associations advocating for solutions to the gendered housing crisis. So the national housing strategy has money specifically allotted to address gender-based specific needs.
What? Oh, okay. Thanks for sharing the inside secrets, because I didn't know that.
And what we wanted to say is, hey, that money hasn't been fully spent. And we know that for women and gender diverse people, they face specific hidden homelessness, and there's specific gender-based solutions that can push the dial and move things forward to address those needs. So it's really exciting to be part of that voice. But also, we were also part of pushing the dial on affordable childcare.
And that's very exciting because I kind of benefit on that, so please explain more.
Well, it's really exciting because while we don't have a childcare portfolio, again, with the YWCA St. John's, we are looking at moving that dial on the affordable childcare. And we know that there's so much to be done. As I'm sure you're saying,
yes,
you benefit from
absolutely.
this, but everyone knows that that $10 a day is still prohibitive to many people, right? And especially locally, there's still a gap in services regarding space. And so you can see these links in our national advocacy and community action where we raise up community voice. So in 2019, we had funds to develop a pilot project for newcomer women exploring business in developing home daycare.
Oh, that's so cool. How did the pilot, do you know the results of how that pilot project went?
It was super successful. And then COVID.
That finicky little thing.
It is a finicky little thing. And so what happened is we didn't quite see that project through. So we have the results from that project that tell us what really matters and how this can provide economic security, offer opportunity, and provide to the community a gap in services. Yeah. So what's really fascinating about that is while we have not sort of been able to push that forward, we're going to work on that, and that's something we hope to do in the near future. We saw our member association in YWCA Muskoka has taken that model and deliver it there. So we know it's a successful and viable option and a way to support folks to build space in the childcare sector and to provide opportunities for women to develop enterprise and business opportunity.
Okay, that's so cool. I can't wait to see when you guys are able to take it from the experimental stage and knowing the studies to actually see it in practice, because the childcare system needs some support, needs some help, and definitely in terms of spaces and availability. So I'm really glad to see that's something your organization can help make a reality for a lot of people. So you've talked a lot about your advocacy. And so is advocacy basically the core of what the YWCA does? Is it what sits in its mission statement as in we need to do this for the better of our community?
I think what happens with advocacy that is so important is that services fill a gap, but they also need to work, and organizations also need to work to make sure those gaps just don't exist, right? And so that we work ourselves out of existence And you hear a lot of organizations say that, right? I wish I didn't have to advocate on childcare. I wish there wasn't a gap on childcare. And until that happens, we still need to push forward and talk about the challenges in community, particularly for women and gender diverse people, particularly at the intersections of race, immigration, where people are still falling through the cracks. Right? And that's why it's really important to have that twofold. And you can see that in other programs that I can tell you about.
Please tell me more, because I was like, I want to know what your direct service offerings are for people.
Right. So we're looking at economic security quite a bit these days, including services for newcomer folks as well. So we do that in a number of areas. So we have the Launch program, that is an employment program for youth.
Okay.
And the Relaunch program, that is an employment program for women and gender diverse folks over the age of 30, which addresses really specific areas of needs for folks facing the age and stage of life.
Yeah.
We also offer economic security and employment services for newcomer folks through our Connections program, which is really important because while we have programs that are employment-based, the systems of immigration pose very different barriers for people who have been impacted by the systems of immigration, status, and entering into the labor force market.
Very, very, very important things. But I know within your organization, you guys also take time to celebrate the accomplishments of the communities you serve. So can you tell me a little bit about how you guys go about doing that?
Right. So the Circle of Distinction is our award ceremony.
Okay.
Yeah. And so as much as we talk about gaps, challenges, the work that we need to do in advocacy, we also need to step back and recognize that women and gender diverse people are doing incredible things and making a difference and an impact in community. And that's why investing in women and gender diverse people is so important. We know that when that investment is made, that the ripple effects and the benefit to community are wide and far-reaching, right?
Absolutely.
And so that's a message that we need to send, that we really need to center and place value on the lives of women and gender diverse people. So the Circle of Distinction is all about recognizing the work and achievements of women and gender diverse folks in St. John's.
So are people still able to nominate individuals for these awards?
Yes.
Okay.
So the awards nominations are open until May 31st.
Okay.
And so that was an extension because we heard from people, we need more time.
I understand when you're trying to put the right words together to nominate someone, I get the more time.
Yes. And our awards are going to be happening now, September 26th, celebrating Gender Equity Week.
I will remember to come back and talk to you about that after the award ceremony to find out how it went and how people, new nominees and all that received.
Thank you.
Now I know there's a special thing that you guys have open as well that you wanted to talk about before I let you go. What was that?
Okay, so along with our employment programs focusing on employment and economic security, our newcomer services like the Connection programs, I didn't mention the LGBTQIA+ newcomer support group. That is a peer support and community-based research project in line with Dr. Suleiman Giwa at the social work department at MUN. There's only so much time, I know. But what's really exciting is when we look at providing space and place for women and gender diverse folks who are facing barriers, we see that gap in services that are around economic security, and particularly around gender-based violence. We're really excited to be part of a national pilot project called the National Emergency Survivor Support Fund.
Okay, so what does that fund do?
Right, have you heard about it before?
No.
Okay, so it's really exciting because as you were talking about, tell me more about the services. What do you offer? There's a lot of placement on non-for-profits to be providing services.
Yeah.
The National Emergency Survivor Support Fund, or NESS, is about providing direct financial assistance to people. It's not about services. It's about the financial system to bridge that gap and find opportunities for safety and security, including first and last month's rent, gender-affirming care that's going to provide safety and autonomy to folks, because accessing services around gender-based violence can really be riddled with stigma and barriers in the system as well.
Okay, I'm So excited to find out all about that. If people wanted to learn more about what the YWCA does and how to access you guys, where do we find you?
Right. I think the best place to reach out to us is on our socials.
Okay.
YWCA, stjohns.ca. And so on our website, you'll find all our links to our socials.
Oh my goodness, that's so great. And if you don't mind, can you tell me what YWCA stands for? Because I need to know before I let you go.
Hop onto our website and you'll see the history of the organization. You'll also find places to donate to the Nest Fund. It's a community effort to make sure people have access to those funds and driven by community. The YWCA stands for Young Women's Christian Association. But we don't name that within our organization because we realize the intersections and development within the organization well beyond just those letters. So we serve all folks, all ages, and we serve women and gender diverse people because we recognize that the systems of inequity and oppression are the same systems that face women and gender diverse folks, and we need to recognize and create space for folks to thrive and survive.
I want to thank you so much for taking time to chat with me today. It was really important for me to get you here and to let people know the great work you guys do.
Thank you so much, and I really appreciate the space you're making for community here on this show.
Thank you. And we'll be right back, everyone. Thank all of you for tuning in again today, and I want to give a special thank you to my guests for joining me. It was amazing to hear Alicia talk about what Epilepsy NL is doing within our province to help those living with epilepsy and support their family members as well. And I really loved getting a chance to know what's going on at the YWCA, and I want to thank Maria for giving us all that information. If you're looking to nominate someone for the Circle of Distinction Awards, don't forget to check out their website. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys again next time.
Hi, I'm Justice. And I'm Nia. And we believe dreams fuel revolutions. That's why we're engaging with Canadian icons and the causes they support. Join us for these inspiring conversations and find out how you can be revolutionary.
If you have a comment about this program, we'd love to hear it. Email or call us or send us your feedback through social media.
Looking for the best way to get the Major League Baseball games you want to watch? Rogers Super Sports Pack has you covered. With MLB Extra Innings, you'll have a premium ticket to out-of-market regular season games with all games available in HD. Don't miss the action from the games you want from both the American and National Leagues. MLB Extra Innings, part of the Super Sports Pack. For only $35.95 a month, Rogers customers get all this for one all-inclusive price. Order using your remote starting on channel 431 or visit Rogers.com today.
Tombolo Multicultural Festival, Newfoundland and Labrador.